My name is Madeline Graves, and I stood up in my ex-husband's corporate boardroom, my daughter strapped to my chest, to expose his own sister for stealing the future I had built. The most dangerous person in any room isn't the one with the most power, it's the one with nothing left to lose. I used to be the wife of a powerful man. I once traded my freedom for love. I once fled through a blizzard to protect the child growing inside me. But the moment I walked into that boardroom, not to save a marriage, but to reclaim myself, that's when I truly started to live. Before I share the full story, let me know where you're watching from in the comments. Hit like and subscribe if you've ever had to overcome something that felt impossible. For your family, for your child, or for yourself. Trust me, you'll want to hear what happened after I said, "I choose me." The pen felt heavier than it should have. In the sterile conference room of Brooklyn Civil Court, I watched my hand move across the paper like it belonged to someone else. No tears, no shouting, just the scratch of ink on paper and the hum of fluorescent lights overhead. Grant sat across from me, his jaw set in that familiar way that meant he was holding back words. 6 years of marriage reduced to signatures and witness stamps. The notary's voice droned on about finalization procedures, but all I could focus on was how Grant's wedding ring had already left a pale band on his finger. "Mrs. Holloway," the notary began. "Graves," I corrected. "It's Ms. Graves now." The room tilted. Black spots danced at the edges of my vision. I remember thinking how odd it was that the floor seemed to be rushing up to meet me. When I opened my eyes, harsh hospital lights replaced the courthouse fluorescence. A nurse with kind eyes was adjusting an IV in my arm. "Welcome back," she said. "You gave everyone quite a scare." Grant stood by the window, his back to me, still in his courthouse suit, wrinkled now. "How long?" My throat felt like sandpaper. 3 hours. He didn't turn around. "Maddie, the doctor needs to—" The door opened. Dr. Martinez walked in with a clipboard and an expression I couldn't read. "Miss Graves, I have your blood work results." She glanced at Grant. "Would you prefer privacy?" "He's—" I paused. What was he now? "He can stay." "You're pregnant. 11 weeks." The words hung in the air like shattered glass. Grant's reflection in the window went rigid. "That's impossible," I whispered. "I have an IUD." Dr. Martinez frowned, checking her notes. "According to your recent medical history, it was removed during a routine exam 2 months ago." "I never authorized that." "The paperwork shows—" She trailed off, studying the chart more carefully. "This is odd. There seems to be a mix-up with another patient's file." Grant finally turned. His face was a mask I'd never seen before. Not angry, not calculating. Lost. "It doesn't change anything," I said quickly, my hand unconsciously moving to my stomach. He opened his mouth, closed it, then walked out without a word. 3 years ago, I'd been arranging lighting for the Whitmore Gallery auction when Grant Holloway walked in and bought every piece I'd framed. Not the art, just the frames I'd designed. "Interesting investment strategy," I'd said, watching him sign a check for $30,000. "I invest in vision," he'd replied. "Yours is extraordinary." That should have been my first warning. Grant didn't just see things, he acquired them. Our wedding came 4 months later. "Too fast," Jules had warned. My best friend stood beside me as maid of honor, whispering until the last second. "You sure about this, Mads?" I was sure. Grant made me feel chosen in a way that was intoxicating. He'd call restaurants ahead to ensure they had my favorite wine. He'd clear his schedule if I had a deadline. He noticed everything. When I was tired, when I was inspired, when I needed space. Except he never gave me that space. The changes came gradually. First, he hired an assistant for my studio without asking. "You're too talented to waste time on invoices," he'd said. Then came suggestions about my clothes. "That dress doesn't do you justice." Then my schedule. "The Brennan project will drain you. Pass on it." The night I told him about the opportunity to open my own design studio, he'd pulled me onto his lap, kissed my temple, and said, "Why would you need that? I can give you everything." I'd felt the cage bars sliding into place, but convinced myself they were made of gold. Jules saw it differently. Over coffee in her paint-splattered Brooklyn loft, She'd study me like one of her portraits. "When's the last time you chose your own outfit?" she'd asked one day. Grant has excellent taste. "When's the last time you went somewhere without telling him?" "We share everything." "When's the last time you said no to him?" I'd left that meeting early, irritated. Grant had texted 3 times wondering where I was. The turning point came 6 months ago. I had secretly met with investors about the studio opportunity, using a friend's phone to coordinate. When I came home, Grant was sitting in the dark, my phone in his hand. 47 minutes at a coffee shop on Madison, he said quietly, with Nathan Ford. Nathan was my former colleague, also one of the investors. "You're tracking me. I'm protecting you." That night, I'd slept in the guest room for the first time. Grant had stood outside the door until dawn, never knocking, just breathing on the other side of the wood. 2 weeks after the hospital, I sat in a different waiting room, watching my baby's heartbeat flutter on the ultrasound screen. 148 beats per minute. Strong, steady, real. The technician printed the images and I tucked them into my purse like contraband. This tiny secret that was mine alone. Until I stepped outside. Grant leaned against a Blacktown car, coffee in each hand. My favorite, oat milk latte with cinnamon. "How did you—" "Lucky guess." He held out the cup. "How is everything?" I didn't take the coffee. "You can't do this." "I'm not doing anything. Just happened to be in the neighborhood." "In Brooklyn? At 9 a.m. outside this specific medical building?" Before he could answer, Nathan Ford rounded the corner, probably heading to the design firm 2 blocks over. He stopped when he saw us, his face cycling through surprise, concern, and awkward recognition. "Maddie, everything okay?" Grant's entire body language shifted. The casual lean became a coiled spring. "Nathan," I said quickly, "just leaving." "Is this him?" Grant's voice was deadly quiet. "Is that why you wanted the divorce?" "Grant, don't—" 11 weeks, Maddie. I can count." Nathan looked between us, clearly lost. "I should go." "No." Grant stepped forward. "Stay. Let's all count together." "Stop it." My hands shook. "Nathan, please go." "Grant, you're making a scene." "Am I? Or are you finally showing your true colors?" The accusation hit like a physical blow. 3 years of subtle digs, of implications that I was too friendly with male clients, too naive to see their intentions. But this was different. This was him unraveling. "You want to know the truth?" My voice cracked. "The truth is I can't breathe around you anymore. The truth is I stopped being a person and became your possession. The truth is—" I pulled out the ultrasound picture, shoving it at his chest. "This baby is yours and I'm leaving anyway." That night, I packed a single bag and drove north until the city lights faded. The cabin in Vermont was listed under Jules's cousin's name. No paper trail, no forwarding address. I powered off my phone and sat in the silence, one hand on my stomach. "Just you and me now," I whispered. But when I charged my old phone to transfer contacts, I found it. A tracking app, buried deep in the system files, installed 6 months ago. The same week I'd met with investors. The same week Grant had known exactly where I'd been. Vermont in November felt like hiding inside a snow globe. I'd established a routine. Morning walks, afternoon design work, evening calls with Jules on a burner phone I'd bought at a gas station. "You're like a very pregnant spy," Jules laughed during one call. "How's baby born?" "Active," I said, feeling a flutter. "Doctor says everything looks good." I'd sent Jules one photo from my 16-week ultrasound. Just one. She was the only person who knew where I was, the only one I trusted, which is why the Google alert made no sense. Holloway heir expected, tech mogul's estranged wife confirms pregnancy. The article featured my ultrasound photo, the exact one I'd sent Jules. Comments were already flooding in, strangers speculating about my marriage, my motives, my body. The phone rang. Jules. "Maddie, I swear to God, I didn't—" "I know," I said, though my hands trembled. "But how?" The image was posted from an account called Baby Holloway Watch, created yesterday. IP address shows— She paused. "It's registered to Holloway Capital's server." My knees buckled. Even here, even hidden, Grant had found a way to violate my privacy. to stake his claim. But when my lawyer called an hour later, she had different news. Grant's team reached out. He's denying any involvement. They're claiming someone inside the company did this without authorization. Of course he's denying it. Maddie, they're threatening to sue their own employee. They seem genuinely blindsided. I hung up, confused and exhausted. The baby kicked, a strong jab under my ribs. I know, little one. I don't understand either. 3 days later, Jules arrived with her laptop and a grim expression. You need to see this. She pulled up digital forensics from a hacker friend. The account was created by someone named Camille Holloway. Grant's sister? Half-sister. And get this, she's been quiet until now, but last month she filed paperwork to challenge Grant's position as CEO, claims he's been distracted by personal matters and unfit to lead. I stared at the screen. I'd met Camille twice, both times at company events where she'd smiled with too many teeth and asked pointed questions about when Grant and I plan to have children. She's using my pregnancy to destroy him? And your collateral damage. Jules closed the laptop. The question is, what do you do about it? The answer seemed obvious. Nothing. This wasn't my fight anymore. But that night, as snow began to fall, I couldn't stop thinking about Grant's face in the hospital. Lost, human, nothing like the controlled man who'd mapped my every movement. Maybe we'd both been prisoners in different ways. The blizzard hit without warning. One moment I was reading in bed, the next I was doubled over, warm liquid soaking through my pajamas. Not water, blood. 22 weeks, too early. The local hospital was 30 miles away. I drove through whiteout conditions, hazard lights blinking, whispering prayers to a god I'd forgotten I believed in. Placental abruption, the doctor said, her face grave. We need to operate immediately. My emergency contact E, I gasped through contractions. Already called. I wanted to protest, to say I'd changed it, but another wave of pain stole my words. Time became elastic. Faces blurred above me. Someone held my hand, a nurse, I thought, until I smelled familiar cologne. Grant? The word came out slurred. I'm here. His voice was rough. You're going to be okay. The baby will be fine. You both will. You, sir, but the doctor's expression told a different story. She pulled Grant aside, and though they whispered, I heard fragments. Have to choose. Can't guarantee both. Need a decision. Grant's face went white. He looked at me, then at my belly, then back at the doctor. Save her. No hesitation. Save Maddie. The baby. I tried to sit up. No. He gripped my hand. I choose you. I will always choose you. The anesthesia pulled me under before I could respond. I woke to beeping machines and soft crying. Not an infant's cry. Deeper. Broken. Grant sat beside my bed, head in his hands, shoulders shaking. The baby. My voice was barely a whisper. He looked up, eyes red. Alive. She's alive. Maddie, you're both. She? 3 pounds, 2 ounces. Tears ran freely down his face. Fighting like her mother. Relief flooded through me, then his words registered. You chose me. I would choose you 1,000 times. He reached for my hand, then stopped. I know it doesn't fix us. I know what I did, how I suffocated you. But Maddie, when they said I might lose you... Mr. Holloway? The doctor interrupted. We need to discuss the surgery complications. My body went cold. Complications? She was gentle but direct. We had to perform an emergency hysterectomy to stop the hemorrhaging. I'm sorry, this will be your only biological child. The words hit like physical blows. Grant stood abruptly, walked to the window. I waited for him to leave, to decide a broken wife with 1 child wasn't worth his legacy. Instead, he returned to the chair, pulled it closer. Can I stay? Quiet, uncertain. Not as your husband, just... Can I stay? I nodded, too empty for words. We sat in silence. Snow falling outside, our daughter fighting for life 3 floors up. Leo came home on a Tuesday. 3 months in, the NICU had turned our daughter into a fighter. 5 pounds of determination with Grant's stubborn chin and my green eyes. I'd rented a larger cabin, one with a nursery. Grant had rented the one next door. Close enough to help, he'd said. Far enough to give you space. He kept his word. Every morning at 7, a soft knock. coffee on the porch, fresh groceries in a cooler. He'd wait until I opened the door, then ask, "What do you need today?" At first, I said nothing. But Leo didn't care about our broken marriage. She needed feeding every 2 hours, diaper changes, endless rocking. The third night home, she screamed for 6 straight hours. At 3 a.m., delirious and sobbing, I opened the door. Grant stood there already, fully dressed. "I could hear her," he said simply. "May I?" I handed her over without words. He walked circles around my living room, humming off key. Leo settled within minutes. When I woke on the couch hours later, Grant was still standing, still swaying, afraid to put her down. "Your arms must be dead," I said. "Worth it." He watched her sleep. I used to think love meant possession, keeping things safe by controlling them. But this, his voice caught. I would let her destroy me and I'd thank her for it. We fell into rhythm. Grant during the day shifts while I worked on design projects. Me at night unless I needed help. No discussions of us. No pressure. Just presence. The first time he changed a diaper, his hands shook so badly I had to steady them. $30 million deals and I'm defeated by a pamper, he muttered. I almost smiled. Jules visited in February, took one look at our strange arrangement and pulled me aside. "This is weird, Mads." "I know. He's different, though. Quieter." "I know. You still love him." "I know." She studied me. But love wasn't our problem." That afternoon, Jules made tea while Grant fed Leo. I watched from the doorway as he whispered to our daughter. Promises, apologies, plans for her future that didn't include controlling every step. "Oh," Jules said softly beside me. "You're not still in love with who he was." I shook my head. "You're falling for who he's becoming." The truth of it terrified me, because who Grant was becoming, patient, present, selfless, was a stranger I didn't know how to guard against. The summons came in March. Camille Holloway was making her move. Emergency board meeting, vote of no confidence, allegations of financial misconduct. "I have to go back," Grant said, standing in my kitchen. "If I don't show up, she wins by default." "Then go. Come with me." I looked up from Leo's morning bottle. "What? Not for me. For you." He pulled out a folder. "Camille didn't just leak the ultrasound. She's been accessing your emails, your medical records, everything. The forensic team found it all." My hands stilled. "She's been reading my everything, including your design proposals, your client communications. Maddie, she sabotaged your studio deal 6 months ago. Sent emails from a spoofed account declining the investment." The room spun. My career, my privacy, my life, picked apart by a woman I barely knew. Why? Because I refused to name her future children as heirs, because she wanted to paint me as unstable, distracted by a messy personal life. His jaw tightened. "Because hurting you was the easiest way to hurt me." 3 days later, I stood in the Holloway Capital boardroom, Leo sleeping in a carrier against my chest. The space reeked of old money and older grudges. Camille sat at the far end, polished and poisonous. "This is a closed session. I'm a shareholder." I placed my folder on the table. "Gifted shares as a wedding present. Still valid?" Grant's head snapped up. He'd forgotten, or maybe never knew I'd kept them. "Let's discuss breach of privacy," I began, voice steady. "Unauthorized access to personal accounts, corporate espionage, identity theft." I laid out each document. Email logs, server records, the digital trail Camille thought she'd erased, recovered by Jules's hacker friend. "You wanted to paint Grant as distracted and unfit," I continued. "But you forgot something. The most dangerous person in any room isn't the one with the most power. It's the one with nothing left to lose." Camille's lawyer whispered frantically in her ear. "Grant and I are divorced," I said. "I gain nothing from defending him. But you tried to weaponize my pregnancy, my privacy, my child, so I'm going to tell this board exactly who they're considering putting in charge." The vote was unanimous. Camille was removed. Pending criminal investigation after Grant found me in the parking garage, Leo fussing in her carrier. "You didn't have to." "Yes, I did." I adjusted Leo's blanket. "Not for you. For her. She deserves a father who isn't destroyed by lies." "What about a father who destroyed himself with truth?" I met his eyes. That's a different conversation. He nodded, understanding. Thank you, Maddie. Don't thank me yet. Camille was a symptom, not the disease. You still have work to do. I know, he said quietly. I'm trying. For the first time in 2 years, I believed him. My studio opened on a Thursday. Small, bright, tucked between a bakery and a bookshop in Park Slope. The smell of fresh paint mixed with brewing coffee from next door. Madeline Graves designs etched in gold on the window. My name, my dream, my terms. Jules hung the last piece, an abstract she'd painted of Leo and me. You did it, Mads. We did it. I bounced Leo on my hip. 8 months old now, grabbing at everything with sticky fingers. The bell chimed. Grant stood in the doorway, holding a small potted orchid. Congratulations, he said. I know I wasn't invited, but it's fine. I meant it. Leo, look who's here. She lunged for him with a squeal. He caught her easily, his face transforming into pure joy. We'd found our rhythm over the months. Shared custody that felt less like division and more like multiplication. 2 homes, double the love, infinite possibility. Da 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 da, Leo babbled, patting his cheek. Grant froze. Did she just... She's been doing that all week. Da-da for everything. The mailman is da-da, the dog next door is da-da. But we both knew this was different. The way she looked at him, the way she settled into his arms. I should go, he said eventually, reluctantly passing her back. Big meeting with the Tokyo office. On a Thursday night. I moved it from Saturday, didn't want to miss my time with her. He'd been doing that more, choosing Leo over work, presence over profit. The Grant I'd married would have considered it weakness. This Grant considered it growth. That night, a spring storm knocked out power to half of Brooklyn. I cursed, fumbling for flashlights, Leo crying in the sudden darkness. A knock. Grant stood there, soaking wet, holding candles and takeout. Saw the lights go out, he said. Thought you might need... Come in. No hesitation this time. We ate Chinese food by candlelight while Leo slept between us on the couch. Like a family, like what we'd never quite managed to be before. I don't know how to do this, I said suddenly. Do what? Trust you again. Want you again. I look at you and see 2 people, who you were and who you're becoming, and I don't know which one is real. He was quiet for a long moment. Maybe both. Maybe that's the point. I can't erase who I was, Maddie. I can only choose who to be now. Rain drummed against windows. Leo sighed in her sleep. I reached across the space between us, found his hand in the dark. Okay, I whispered. Let's choose.